What's going on, everybody? We are back with another edition of Budget Wargamer, and today we've got some potential leaks of what may be the contents coming out in June for the Age of Sigmar 2.0 or New Edition starter box, of which we yet to know the exact name of. So if we want to take a look at some of the news that's out there, I've also found some interesting reveals of models that we have not yet seen officially announced from the Warhammer community website, or aka Games Workshop. So let's dive in and take a look at one of the rumors of what's circulating around, that this is supposedly the contents of the upcoming New Edition Warhammer starter box. So we have some of the models that we just reviewed the other day here from the Nighthaunt faction, and then we have some of the Sacrosanct Chamber models there. But I have a feeling that this is not the complete contents of the starter box. I actually think that there's going to be more models in there than this. And the reason I think that is that there seems to be just a tiny bit missing, especially from the Stormcast Eternal side, and I could be wrong, but I also wouldn't expect that they're going to try to squeeze this in at the same $125 US price that the last edition was. I feel like they've fleshed themselves out and kind of pushed the boundaries, especially with the release of Dark Imperium, and also the confidence now the Age of Sigmar isn't as revolutionary and groundbreaking as it was to go from Fantasy 8th edition over to Age of Sigmar. We've been seeing a lot of their box games coming out at the $150 to $160 mark, and I feel like this box may even try to encroach up to that $160 level. I'm just taking my best guess, so take it with a grain of salt, whatever you will. But on Fayette 2012, they're trying to say that somebody named Gavi has passed them this information, of which this is little more than official Warhammer community images. But let's take a look at what I feel is going to be the new contents for the Warhammer starter box. So if we take a look here, this is going to be very similar to what we saw with the previous Age of Sigmar Khorne starter set, where the artwork's very similar and gives a hint at the contents of the models contained there within. And if that's the case and we want to compare that, then we have a sorcerer here, we are a magician, whatever you want to call it, a magician that's riding a griffin-like creature, a lot of these frontline infantry wearing the robes. Do we see any hints at anything else? Maybe some of the lightning artillery here in the background on the hill, but certainly not close up. And then when we take a look at what is on the side of Nighthaunts, you have that mounted Knight of Shroud, you have the Executioner, you have the Chain Host, you have the other creatures, and then the Spirit Torment, I think it was called, and then the Reapers. So let's take a look, and a lot of that does align very closely with what we're seeing here on this. So we have those chain guys, we have the one character highlighted in the right hand side, so we're trying to do a full accounting, and I feel like, yes, this may very much be the Nighthaunt side of the box. This may be everything that's included, because if we go and we bring up this artwork, then we're getting a hint at the Executioner, the Spirit, the Knight of Torment. We're getting a few of the Executioners, a few of the guys here, and a few of the Chain Host, and that's essentially it. But I feel like we're missing out on a few key models that may be included in the Stormcast Eternal side of it for the Sacrosanct Chamber. And we may or may not even see exactly what you see here as far as the model makeup. But that's what's included in the rumor from Fayette 2012. So we're going to take that with a grain of salt, but I do see that there's a lot of credibility on the Nighthaunt side. And I do think that we're probably going to see that mounted mage be a release within the new starter box, because he's kind of a big deal. So that's really short order, of which was provided there. Now let's take a look. I want to give credit to a site called Sprues and Brews. So these guys here actually took some photographs while they were at Warhammer Fest, and or found access to some of these. But I'll just say, without doing any further research, that they took these photographs themselves. So let's just say that for the sake of argument. Now what we're going to do when we scroll through here is we're actually going to encounter some new models that we haven't seen yet from the Age of Sigmar. And these were live previewed, painted at Warhammer Fest. So these would be some of the basic line infantry with the new weapons. So not really a shock there. This guy here, this mage, is certainly a shock. And is he a leader of those units or a standalone character? That's to be determined. I'm not necessarily thinking at this point that he's going to be included in the starter box, and the reason being, I'll show you later on, I think he's a standalone character that actually could potentially be built more than one of two ways. So I'm thinking two ways is essentially what I'm saying. Here's some more characters that would match up, and how does that go with this box set? So very, very similar. We're seeing some of those guys, so it's potential we could be seeing contents of the box set here as well. If we look, we see the bolt thrower thing in the back. We see a character that's very similar to that was included in the original starter box, but the souls are coming out. So let's keep scrolling. We've got this mage here without a helmet, but I think that this could be represented by the mage, as the mage from the starter box. Then again, it could be a standalone character, but we're seeing it very splayed out, crucified-like, and flat, which to me fits very great into a sprue. So it's possible that that could be the model as is, especially when we look how thick this front cloak is. It may just be a starter box miniature, and it's a cool pose in and of its own right. Then we dive in and we're seeing some more of those crossbowmen and a griffin. So I don't think we've seen that griffin model yet. That would be new. The characters in the front line may be slightly different than what we've seen already. I think the guy with the war scroll may be a little bit different, but we've seen this model set teased. So let's keep going. And we've seen a couple different crew options as well for these lightning bolt throwers. So they may not even be included in the starter box. If you recall, there wasn't a war machine included in the starter box for the Stormcast Eternals in the initial Age of Sigmar. Not saying that this has to stay the same way, but just trying to keep that in mind, especially considering we're seeing multiple crew options, which multiple options and customization is not going to be inherently part of the easier to build starter sets. So here's some more of the characters with the crossbows. I'm not yet used to their names. I know we went through them the other day and read them off. But let's see here. See this character that has his hand up, and now he has like this halo behind his back. I think he's an alternate build of this character that we encounter here, and I could be wrong, but I think that he's an alternate build of this character and that he is actually a standalone character that you would be able to purchase. So I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm just making my assumptions and logical deductions, but then again, we could be looking at two separate standalone characters, which is less likely. Now we get into what would be the contents, presumably the contents of the starter box or standalone unit boxes. So I think we're actually going to see a limited number of these types of wraiths in the starter box, and also these wraiths that we see assembled here. The seven, is it seven of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not sure if that's actually showing them all, but they appear to be armed slightly different with weaponry than what we see here in this picture. So I think that these will probably be the starter box versions, and then these will probably be the unit box versions. So that's a presumption there. Then we have the Lord Executioner, cool model. Some more of these other models here as well, and some of these I think are going to be new, like this cavalry here in the background that's on the ghostly steeds. I don't think we've previewed that yet, or at least we haven't covered it. So here's another character, might even be in the starter box. He wasn't accounted for on the cover art as far as I could recall, so they could be a standalone character. But here's those pointy guys, and then here's the other character, the Tormentor Souls, whatever he's called. And so let's take a look here. This could actually be the starter box, although I'm still kind of doubting that you would get two war machines in it, but anything's technically possible. These could be their standalone units. Here's a new unit, I believe. These kind of look like banshees, right? So they have that female type of pose to them, and we're seeing 4 of them close up. Wishing we had better pictures. Here's cavalry units that appear to be mounted, although they could actually be, nope, they're different models. They look very similar with their hunches on their back, but they are apparently different. And then the guy with the candelabra here could be a totally different model. The one with the spirits coming off of its axe would be an alternate executioner model. So maybe we get one that's a standalone purchasable model, one that comes in the starter box with the hangman's gallows on his back. So it's to be determined, but those are some new interesting photos from Sprues and Brews that I thought would be a good thing to bring up. And then let's go back one more time to analyze what's probably going to end up being the starter box cover artwork for the new Age of Sigmar, because it's certainly designed in that fashion. And let's get rid of my ugly mug here. I don't want to forget that you guys should subscribe to my channel. You also should be basically commenting below that you'd like to get involved in the Steel Phalanx that I'm giving away for Infinity. And make sure you like this video to help promote my channel. I really do appreciate that. And I like conversing with all you guys, so feel free to comment below. Talk about what your favorite subjects are. Let's get your input. What do you think is going to be a part of this? I think with all the magic and lightning that's coming out of the background, it's probably safe to say that we might be actually getting those lightning bolt throwers. I see another mage here towards the background. It looks like a charged staff, so maybe we're going to see a few mages in this box. But I think from the Nighthaunt side, we're seeing a full accountability of what should be in here, but I still think there's some curveballs coming here on the Stormcast side. So you decide, you comment below, and soon enough we'll find out what the truth is. Stay tuned to Budget Wargamer for some more cool hobby videos on Warhammer, Warhammer 40,000, and other games from around the hobby sphere.